Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we are digging into an absolute classic, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. We're here to pull out the essential shortcuts, the core wisdom for understanding what makes people tick.
It's amazing, isn't it? The book is almost 100 years old, and yet everything in it feels completely relevant.
Totally. It feels more relevant than ever, actually.
Because it's not about trends. It's about the fundamental wiring of human psychology. And we should be clear, this isn't about manipulation. It's about genuine connection.
That's the mission today. We're looking for those aha moments that explain the real engine behind our behavior. You know, the desires and needs that drive every single one of us.
Exactly. And what's so wild is how simple these rules sound. Things like, just be interested in people or smile. But the psychology behind why they work is incredibly profound.
It all comes down to one core truth, doesn't it?
It does, that everyone has this deep, deep need to feel important, to feel seen and valued. And if you can learn to fulfill that need for others, well, almost every other interaction just gets easier.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Where do we start? The absolute foundation for dealing with people.
Well, the very first principle is probably the biggest hurdle for most of us. It's simple. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain.
And it is so hard to do. Our default setting when something goes wrong is to point out the flaw.
Right, but criticism it fails every time. It never appeals to a person's logic. It's a direct attack on their ego, their pride.
So they just shut down.
They shut down or they get defensive. They start justifying why they did what they did, and the conversation is basically over. You even see this with B.F. Skinner's research animals, and people learn way better with rewards than with punishment.
The sources have this incredible story that just perfectly illustrates this. The test pilot, Bob Hoover.
That story's amazing, yeah. So he's flying this propeller plane, and both engines just cut out midair.
A catastrophic failure. And it turns out a young mechanic had made a huge mistake. He filled the plane with the wrong kind of fuel, jet fuel instead of aviation fuel.
A mistake that could have killed him and destroyed a multi-million-dollar plane.
Yeah.
So when they land, the mechanic is just trembling. He's waiting to be absolutely destroyed verbally.
Which would have been justified, right?
Completely. But Hoover doesn't do that. He walks over, puts an arm around the young man, and says something. Just incredible.
He says, to show you I'm confident in you and that you've learned a lesson here, I want you to service my plane again tomorrow.
Can you imagine the level of self-control that takes? As Carnegie says, any fool can criticize, and most of us do. But it takes real character to be forgiving. Hoover knew the shame was punishment enough.
And he created this intense loyalty. That mechanic would probably never make a mistake again.
Never. So if criticism is out, what's the alternative? That leads right into the second principle. Give honest and sincere appreciation.
And this taps directly into what you said earlier, that core desire to feel important.
Exactly. William James called it the deepest principle in human nature. We need to feel valued. It's like a psychological hunger.
But there's a really important distinction here, right? Between appreciation and just flattery.
A huge distinction. Flattery is cheap, it's insincere, it's what you say when you want something from someone. People can smell it a mile away.
So what's real appreciation?
It's specific. It comes from the heart. It's about noticing someone's actual effort or their strengths or their character.
There's this great example of a manager, George Johnson, and an underperforming employee named Tom.
Right. So Johnson could have just hammered him on his numbers, but that would have just demoralized him.
Instead, what did he do?
He focused on Tom's good qualities. He sat him down and said he admired his keen eye for detail and strong analytical mind. He appealed to the best parts of him.
And Tom's performance just shot up because his value as a person was seen.
It flipped a switch. Which leads us to the third part of this foundation, which is all about persuasion. Arouse in the other person an eager want.
This is the fishing analogy, right?
Exactly. You might love cookies, but when you go fishing, you don't bait the hook with a cookie.
You use a worm because that's what the fish wants.
And we forget this all the time. We're constantly talking about what we want, what we need. But nobody cares about that. They only care about what they want.
So influence is about framing your idea in terms of their benefit.
Yes. You have to show them, honestly, how your idea helps them solve their problem or get what they already want. You're just aligning your goals with theirs.
Okay, so once we have that foundation, how do we build actual rapport? The part where people, genuinely start to like you.
This is where Carnegie really flips the script. The first rule for making people like you is become genuinely interested in other people.
Which is the exact opposite of what most of us do. We spend all our energy trying to be interesting.
Right, we try to impress people with our stories, our accomplishments.
Mm.
But Carnegie says you'll make more friends in 2 months by being interested in others than in 2 years of trying to get them interested in you.
It's a shortcut.
A total shortcut. It's not about performance, it's about appreciation. The sources talk about Howard Thurston, the magician.
Yeah, he was a huge star, packed theaters everywhere.
And his secret wasn't just being good at magic. Before every show, he would stand backstage and repeat to himself, "I love my audience. I am grateful for them." He projected this genuine love for the people watching him.
And they felt it. I mean, that reminds me of the Maya Angelou quote, people forget what you did, but they never forget how you made them feel.
That's the secret right there.
Yeah.
And it connects to something so simple we overlook it all the time. A person's name.
The sweetest sound in any language.
To that person, yes. When you remember and use someone's name, you're sending a subtle but powerful message. You matter. I see you as an individual.
And when you forget it, it stings a little.
It does. I mean, think of James Farley, FDR's campaign manager. The man supposedly knew the first names of 50,000 people.
50,000, that's a superpower.
It is. But you don't need a superpower, you just need to be intentional. When you meet someone, repeat their name back to them. Use it once or twice. That little bit of effort makes a huge difference.
And it all ties into the last point here, which is about listening. To be interesting, be interested.
Ah, the dinner party story. This is my favorite. Carnegie is at a party and gets cornered by a botanist.
Right, and Carnegie basically says nothing the whole time. He just listens with, like, genuine curiosity as this guy talks for hours.
Hours. And at the end of the night, the botanist tells the host that Carnegie was the most fascinating conversationalist he'd ever met.
It's perfect! He literally said almost nothing.
Because he gave that man what we are all starving for. Full, undivided attention. Most of us don't listen to understand. We listen to reply.
That's so true. You're just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly. But when you give someone that space, when you truly hear them, they feel respected. It can de-escalate almost any situation, even with an angry customer. Just let them talk.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about persuasion. How do you win people over to your way of thinking, especially when there's a conflict?
Well, the first rule is maybe the most counterintuitive. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it.
You can't win.
You can't win. I mean, you can win the debate, sure, but you bruise the other person's ego, and they'll walk away still believing they're right. You can win the argument, or you can win the person. Rarely both.
So what's the move? If someone disagrees with you, what do?
You welcome it. You listen.
Yeah.
You distrust your first gut reaction to fight back, and you look for any little area of agreement you can find.
And what if you realize you're actually wrong?
Then you use one of the most powerful tools in the entire book. You admit it quickly and emphatically.
The story about Carnegie and his dog in the park?
Yes. So he's walking his dog, Rex, without a leash, which is against the rules. A police officer catches him and scolds him the next time he's caught.
He doesn't make excuses. He runs up to the officer and basically says, "You got me. I'm guilty. I have no excuse."
He just completely disarms the guy. By admitting fault so sincerely, he gave the officer that feeling of importance he was looking for. The officer's need to assert his authority was met.
And then the officer became generous. He let him off with a warning.
It happens all the time. Confession makes people want to show mercy. It's just human nature.
This gentle approach. It reminds me of Aesop's fable. The one about the wind and the sun.
A perfect analogy. The wind tries to force a man's coat off with brute force, and what happens?
He clutches it tighter.
Right. But the sun just shines warmly, and the man takes the coat off willingly. Force creates resistance. Gentleness and a friendly approach create openness.
And a huge part of that friendly approach is empathy. Trying to honestly see things from their point of view.
You have to. Because even if that person is 100% wrong, they don't think they are. There's a reason, an emotional reason usually, why they believe what they believe. If you don't understand that, you can't connect with them.
Which brings us to the magic phrase.
Yes, the magic phrase. If you can say this with total sincerity, it can end almost any argument. I don't blame you one bit for feeling as you do. If I were you, I would undoubtedly feel just as you do.
That's powerful, because you're not agreeing with their facts, you're validating their feelings.
You're validating their feelings. And Carnegie believed that 3/4 of the people you meet are just, quote, hungering and thirsting for sympathy. Once they feel heard, they stop fighting and start listening.
All right, so let's move into leadership. How do you apply all of this to actually change people's behavior, like with an employee or even a family member, without creating resentment?
The key is to protect their dignity at all costs,
Yeah.
which is why the second principle here is to call attention to people's mistakes indirectly.
No public shaming.
Never. The example of the steel executive is perfect. He sees a group of workers smoking right under a no-smoking sign.
The easy move is to yell at them. Can't you read the sign?
Right, but instead he walks over, hands each of them a cigar and says, "I'd appreciate it, boys, if you would smoke these outside."
It's brilliant. He corrects the behavior without a single word of criticism. He gives them a gift and preserves their dignity.
It's correction through trust, not scolding. And another tiny but huge tactical change is swapping one word in your feedback.
Getting rid of the word but.
Yes, but negates everything that came before it. If you say, "You did a great job on that report, but," all they hear is the failure.
But if you swap it for and,
The whole feeling changes. "We're really proud of your progress, and if we can get this next part tightened up, it will be perfect." One is a criticism, the other is encouragement.
so what else? How else do you lead without just bossing people around?
You ask questions instead of giving direct orders. An order can feel like a challenge to someone's pride.
So instead of saying, do this now, you'd say,
You'd say, "How do you think we should handle this?" Or, "Do you think this approach might work better?" You invite them to co-create the solution.
which gives them ownership.
It gives them ownership, it makes them feel important, and they're 1,000 times more motivated to follow through on an idea they feel they had a part in.
And the last one here. This one feels like the ultimate psychological life hack. Giving someone a fine reputation to live up to.
This is one of my favorites.
Hmm.
If you want to improve a trait in someone, you act as though they already possess that trait in abundance.
So if you have a friend who's always late, you don't call them out on it.
No. You'd say something like, "One thing I've always admired about you is how reliable you are. I know I can always count on you."
You're giving them a positive reputation to protect. They'll want to live up to that image you have of them.
Right.
It's like positive social pressure.
It's the ultimate fuel for growth.
So when you pull it all together, avoiding arguments, remembering names, asking questions, it all weaves together into one big idea.
It really does. Influence isn't about having the better argument or using force. It's not manipulation.
It's about respecting and fulfilling that one single powerful human need, the need to feel important.
That's it. You stop trying to win the point, and you start trying to understand the person. You look at the world through their eyes, their needs, their ego.
Carnegie said that we get so caught up in our own stuff, our own goals, that we just forget how easy it is to make someone's day.
And if you just accept that simple premise that everyone around you is quietly starving for a little genuine appreciation and almost nobody is giving it, then this whole framework isn't just a set of techniques. It becomes this massive personal advantage.
The ultimate test isn't just about closing a deal or winning a debate. It's about making someone else feel seen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let me just leave you with this final thought. Think of someone you interact with regularly, but maybe you sort of overlook. The delivery driver, the person at the coffee shop, a quiet colleague.
Someone you take for granted.
Yeah. And what is one small, specific, and totally sincere compliment you can give them today? Not because you want something, but just to radiate a little bit of that appreciation.
Acknowledging their effort or a skill they have.
Exactly. Because that deliberate act of giving appreciation without expecting anything back, that's the real test. That's the mastery of it all.
That's our deep dive for today. Until next time, stay curious.